The 2026 college football and NFL season are just about to get underway. So, of course, that means there's already some way too early 2027 mock drafts out there. In today's video, we are going to go over Bleacher Report's scouting department's first round mock draft of the 2027 NFL draft as things lie today and give our reactions to it. Be sure to let me know yours in the comment section down below. All right, so we got the mock draft here. You can see that it came out August 17, 2026. BNR's scouting depth initial. Listen, so here's what I'll say. I don't really know if it says how they came up with the draft order here. So if you're like, my team's not going to pick here, they're going to be better than that. Guess we'll see. I guess we will find out. Number one, the Arizona Cardinals select quarterback Darian Mensah out of Miami. Okay, now listen, I am pretty high on Mensah going to Miami this year. At Duke last year, I thought Mensah was an absolute stud. I love his mobility, the arm throws, the ability to make any throw, kind of Jordan Love-esque to me personally. So I'm a fan of Darian Mensah. We saw Mendoza rise to number one last year, and in mock drafts at this time last year, Arch Manning was number one. So me coming up here saying I think Arch Manning is going to be number one, a bit odd maybe, but I think Mensah could really grow. Texas Arch Manning may be the early obsession throughout the NFL draft circles due to name recognition and growth potential, but Miami's Darian Mensah is QB1 entering the 2027 campaign. Quote, Mensah is poised, accurate, and mentally tough passer who has elevated his game in each of the last two programs, said BNR scout Dame Parson. Mensah isn't afraid of big moments and is a proven winner with lesser talent around him. Like, that is a true statement. I love what we've seen from Darian Mensah so far. We could see him obviously continue to rise up draft boards. I think he could be the number one pick in the draft, but it's not a guarantee that he will be. Moving on, number two, the Miami Dolphins select wide receiver Jeremiah Smith out of the Ohio State University. I think that this Dolphins team brought in Malik Willis, signed him to that contract, got him to come in with the Packers GX, front office executive to be the new GM, and Jeff Hafley under the idea of you're going to be our quarterback for not just this year. We're going to build something with you. That's the way that I look at it. It seems like that's what this team is looking at it like. So I think Jeremiah Smith to Miami is a very, very, very real possibility. He is the most hyped wide receiver coming into an NFL draft since Maserati Marv out of the same Ohio State University. Wide receiver Jeremiah Smith is arguably the best draft prospect in over a decade, Parsons said. Smith has the size, 6'4", 220 pounds, 222, strength, route running, and athleticism to dominate one-on-one matchups. Also has more speed than I think some people would expect. I think that he's probably the best overall player in terms of a grade in this draft class. So Miami getting him at 2 makes sense. Number 3, the New York Jets, Arch Manning out of Texas. Arch Manning in the New York market. How many Manning Jets jerseys would they sell, man? Arch is probably the guy that I would guess goes number one in the draft at this point in time. I thought we saw a lot of progression from Arch last year. I thought he looked good, and I think he could develop really, really well this season in Texas. I think that Arch has some mobility to his game. We saw some big passing games from him. He struggled at the start of last year, but you do have to factor in the fact that the week one matchup was Ohio State, and we saw how good that defense ended up being. Caden McDonald, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, they had dudes all over there. So I think Arch will probably be my quarterback one going into the season for college football. Cleveland Browns, Dante Moore out of Oregon. What the hell is this picture, bro? They got him. They got Dante Moore looking like that in the picture. You guys know me, Oregon Ducks fan. I think Dante Moore could have come out this year and been the number 2 pick in the draft. He wanted to wait, and I don't think the Browns are a bad landing spot, man. Todd Monken, offensive-minded head coach who's had plenty of success with Lamar, Judkins and Sampson in the backfield, Concepcion, Boston, Fannin, an offensive line that they're building out with Winota set to be the left tackle. So I do think Cleveland is actually kind of a more desirable spot for a potential quarterback, but I don't really think that they have the answer on the roster right now, whether it be Shador or Deshaun Watson. So Dante Moore 4 makes sense to me. Tennessee Titans cornerback Leonard Moore out of Notre Dame. Not that I think that this is a bad pick by any means. If I'm Tennessee, though, and I think we're going to see it this season, the offensive line has to be a big time focus. Some people are saying Cam Ward's on the hot seat as well. I don't know if I fully believe that. But I think the offensive line should be a focus. But Leonard Moore, one of the top corners in the nation, if not the top. Vegas Raiders, Cam Coleman, wide receiver out of Texas. Cam Coleman, I think is going to become a household name this year. Cam Coleman, he's already had some nasty catches come out of camp. And the Raiders desperately need a wide receiver one. Right now, it's Jalen Nailor, Jack Betch, Dante Thornton. Yeah, not that good. Cam Coleman, an absolute dog. I think he's going to be a legit wide receiver one in the NFL. Cam Coleman is a physically gifted pass catcher with dominant traits and abilities. The 6'3", 203-pound junior prospect is an explosive leaper with a catch radius to win on 50-50 balls and back shoulder fades. He can create a dynamic duo with star tight end Brock Bowers, allowing Mendoza to develop into the highly precise passer that the Raiders need. And listen, Mendoza is the kind of quarterback that could hit Cam Coleman in really great spots. Signetti came out and he was talking about Mendoza, and he said they ran a lot more post routes last year than he's ever ran as a college coach because Mendoza got that ability. So it could be something nice. Panthers, they get edge Colin Simmons out of Texas, the best edge in the draft. They signed Jalen Phillips to a big-time deal. They have Scorton as well, who did suffer a season-ending injury. So I question if Carolina, one, will be picking 7, because I think that their roster is better than picking 7. But 2, if edge will be the legit focus for them. So I'm not sure if I love the pick. Falcons, offensive tackle Trevor Gooseby. I mean, look at this run by Texas, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players in the top 8 are Texas Longhorns. Just something to note there. Something to note. Obviously, if the plan for Atlanta is to keep rolling with Tua or Penix, obviously you need a good line. I think Atlanta would probably reach on a QB here at pick 8. I mean, not that it's a reach, but I think that's where they'd go. North Carolina or New Orleans takes South Carolina edge Dylan Stewart. This makes sense to me. Cam Jordan's getting older. And Chase Young's not super young. Dylan Stewart, one of the best edges in the draft. So I could easily see them going this direction. I could also see them targeting cornerback as well. Commanders, Nick Marsh, wide receiver out of Indiana. So Marsh moving ahead of Coleman Williams on mock draft boards. We'll talk about Coleman Williams when we get there. Washington needs everything. It's still besides middle linebacker and quarterback. That's how I feel about the Commanders. So Marsh, solid pick. I'm really excited to see him this year in this Indiana system without Mendoza and see how he performs. The Jets defensive line, Will Echols from Ole Miss. I could see it, man. A running mate for T'Vondre Sweat there, and David Bailey. The Jets could really or the Giants, bro. What am I doing? Talking about the Giants. Yes. This is even more of a need for the Giants. Their defensive line on the interior is dog water right now. They're going to get run all over this year, so I think targeting that in the draft is going to end up making sense. The Jets here, Ashton Hampton, cornerback out of Clemson. I like the Pons pickup, but to me, he's more of a nickel. This is an outside corner. Ashton Hampton, I think that's a good pick for the Jets. Pittsburgh Steelers, quarterback Drew Mestemaker. So Mestemaker is a guy that I think we're going to hear a lot about this year. I think Mestemaker out of Oklahoma State's a guy that you're going to see rise up draft boards, and he will be a first-round pick. He is nasty. However, I don't think Pittsburgh's the landing spot. I think Atlanta at 8, that might be a spot for Mestemaker, if we're being honest. I think what we saw out of Drew Aller, he's going to be the guy that gets run for Pittsburgh next year. I truly believe it. I truly believe that. So Mestemaker in the first round, I agree with. To Pittsburgh, I don't love. Vikings, tight end Jamari Johnson out of Oregon. Fine. TJ Hawkinson, He's a guy who is getting old. Age is really starting to show for him. Jamari Johnson, a good playmaker out of Oregon, a solid tight end. I like it. Jacksonville, defensive line, David Stone out of Oklahoma. Yeah, this pick makes sense to me, right? I think the Jags focusing on building a strong defensive line. They don't really have a ton of money to spend. You have Travis Hunter. You hope he's going to be their cornerback one. That seems like where he's playing. You're paying Trevor Lawrence. You got a lot of receivers there. Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker. So I think interior defensive line is a good spot for them to target. Bears offensive tackle Jordan Seaton. I guess the goal is that he'll play left tackle since they paid Darnell Wright. I don't mind it. I think that protecting Caleb Williams is obviously a good goal for them. The Jets, again, via Dallas/Green Bay, safety Bronte Johnson. Their safety room is Minka Fitzpatrick and Cisco, so pretty old and pretty mid. Makes sense to me. I'm learning Notre Dame secondary is something to keep an eye on this year. The Bengals, tight end Tre'Davious Green out of LSU. Listen, if the Bengals go offensive skill, I'll lose my mind. If the Bengals use a first-round pick on anything other than offensive line or defense, I'll lose my mind for Bengals fans. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Amari Washington out of Oregon. I think this guy is going to rise up draft boards. I think he might be a top 10 pick, so love this pick for Tampa in this spot. Chris Cole, linebacker out of Georgia for Dallas. I think this makes sense. We'll see if Overshown could stay healthy, but if not, I do think that Cole is a guy for them to target. Broncos, edge Will Helt out of Clemson. I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, obviously they lost Franklin Myers. We'll see what goes on with the Jonathan Cooper situation. It seems like that's just kind of came and gone. If anything, I think Denver may be a better landing spot for Chris Cole, but we'll see there. Detroit Lions cornerback Xavier Brown out of Bama. Another Bama cornerback headed to Detroit. But yeah, the Lions desperately need outside corners. I think it's going to probably be their downfall this upcoming NFL season is not having one of those. So I'm all for this pick here. Patriots running back Jordan Bow out of Florida. Okay, a couple things to unpack here. One, I don't see the Patriots going running back in the first round because Stevenson and Henderson is probably their duo. Number two, Keywan Lacey, Hardy out of Missouri. I just don't see Bow being the top back in the class. So I completely disagree with this pick on all levels. I don't see New England going running back. Like, what in the blue moon? That ain't happening. No way. Chiefs. Ooh, Ryan Coleman Williams. It's a big year. Big year for Ryan Coleman Williams, man. At 17, this dude came in the SEC and started putting belt to ass on them SEC corners. Last year, took a step back. This year's going to determine, is Coleman Williams up there with Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman as a top 10 pick potential guy, or is he falling down here at 24? I'm not saying he's going to be Xavier worthy, but if he has another year like last year, then you're Kansas City. You've already got Tyquan Thornton and Worthy, guys that you're just drafting for speed. And I think Coleman Williams could be better than those guys, but if he has another down year, I don't know. 49ers take edge Boubacar Traore, dude, reading NFL player names and athlete names straight up makes me feel like Davos from Game of Thrones when that dude's learning how to read. Boubacar Traore, maybe. But 49ers taking an edge. I don't see it. Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams, that's their edge group for the future. I think that they need to go O-line. I think that they need to go O-line this year and still do. Eagles, cornerback Elias Robinson, the fourth out of Georgia. Maybe, because Rick Woolen on that 1-year deal, probably not the answer for them, and I don't think that they have the answer to outside corner. They love Georgia. Makes sense to me. Chargers, interior offensive line, Trevor Locke out of Iowa. Yes, Chargers interior offensive line is booty butt cheeks, especially with Biatz now being hurt. Makes sense to me. Texans, running back Ahmad Hardy out of Missouri. We'll see. They seem to have some pretty big faith in Montgomery, so not that Ahmad Hardy isn't nice, and obviously he'd be nasty in Houston, but we'll see. But I think Hardy and Lacey should have gone ahead of that Florida back, personally. Ravens, interior offensive line, Cade Peeper out of Iowa. Sure, they could use it, especially with Linderbaum gone. Seahawks, defensive line, Ahmad Martin, senior out of Miami. Um, I feel like the Seahawks D line is deep. I don't really know exactly what they need. They could use probably another outside corner, if I had to guess. So maybe they go there. Buffalo Bills, Nick Harbor out of South Kakalaki. Uh, I could see it. I mean, he's got great size to his game, 6'5", 239 pounds. Big body target. It just kind of depends on like what wide receiver production they get out of the room this year. And then lastly, the Browns via the Rams. Defensive line, Justin Scott out of Miami. Makes sense to me, man. Makes sense to me. So overall, some ups, some downs in this 2027 mock draft. I think it's just like a fun exercise to kind of look at it a couple weeks out. We're, 2 weeks out of college football season, 3 weeks out of NFL season. I cannot freaking wait. Appreciate you guys for checking out the channel. If you made this far in the video, the thumbs up button, it's free, and it's a great way to help support the channel, help it grow. Make sure you hit that sub button if you love the NFL. I will catch you next time. Peace.